interesting cast going on today. I'm Ryan Shepard. With me today, I've got Drew LaPointe.
What's going on, everyone?
And on the phone, we got Cy Cuddy.
How's it going, people?
Not too bad. Getting ready to go to Miami.
That's right, everybody. To all you listeners out there, your boy Cy Cuddy is going to be taking a 5-day vacation to Miami. Expecting a little time in the sun, getting away from this New England weather.
Yeah.
And I haven't had a vacation in God knows how many months, so Lord knows I need it.
Well, I envy you, Cy.
Wait, you're going alone? Are you going there alone?
Don't worry. No, I'm going to go down with some friends. Some friends of mine have a timeshare down there, and they invited me to stay.
Oh, that's the way to do it. Have somebody down there. Have some place to stay. Yeah, I envy you, Cy. This is the perfect time to go, right? Hopefully we get some nice weather up here, but...
Yeah, winter's coming back over here.
Yeah,
so.
you're definitely going to have the lion's share of the sun and the heat, that's for sure.
Yeah, but no worries, boys. I'm going to be back by Friday, and I won't miss any cast time, hopefully.
All right, because I'm going to need to hear your hot takes on Dark Souls 3.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, I forgot.
It's out on Tuesday, right?
Yeah, it's out on Tuesday. Ratchet and Clank and Dark Souls 3.
That's kind of a weird combo.
Weird combo indeed.
Oh, yeah, no, that's what you were the one talking about it.
Yeah.
If you get too angry at, one.
I mentioned it
throwing
at
some Ratchet, yeah.
How funny it would be if I get stuck on Ratchet and Clank
and
I'm
blow
just
right through Dark Souls.
Cruising through Dark Souls.
Dude, actually, I was watching some reviews, though. Like, that one, it looks pretty impressive, actually, Dark Souls 3. I gotta say.
Yeah.
It looks like they...
So far, it's gotten critically great reviews.
Well, I mean, they all usually do.
Yeah, they usually do, but it looks good. It
looks like the combat's more in depth than it used to be. I think that's what I was impressed with.
So what I'm looking forward to the most is that it's more of a Dark Souls 1 approach to the game, where Dark Souls 2 was kind of like there was a lot of meandering paths you could go on, and I guess this is more of a straight shot. There are definitely branching paths, but it's easier to stay on the straight and narrow there. So for me, that's like the games are tough. There's no getting around it. The games are hard to master, that's for sure. And I hate going down a path and then finding out that
you didn't have to.
Yeah, I didn't have to, or I get so far down a path and then I hit a brick wall and have to work all my way back. I feel like it was all for nothing, pretty much. Yeah. So I like having some sort of guidance, but the games are all about kind of like
figuring it out.
Yeah, figuring it out, and like mysteries, like what is actually going on here, and what does this do? What does that do? So we're gonna see how that goes. Yeah, and then of course, Ratchet and Clank.
Are you gonna be getting it this Tuesday, Ryan?
Yeah. Yep. I already got it pre-ordered on PC.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Nice, dude.
And so, gorgeous 60 frames per second. They've been pretty notorious on those kinds of games with not supporting 60 frames per second that well.
What is this? Their first one they're putting out at 60?
This is the first one that is coming out on all platforms at the same time.
Oh, okay.
So, like Dark Souls 1 and 2 were ported from the console versions.
Yeah.
And those were locked at 30. And there were actual programming things that were tied to 30 frames per second.
Yeah.
So, when you got up to 60 frames per second, things like weapons degraded twice as fast.
Oh, okay.
Because it was based on how many frames.
Yeah. So like I see what you're saying. That's weird.
Yeah. It was like how many.
It's like the game thought it was in like fast forward or something.
Basically, yeah. That's what
like
what it was.
As quick.
So like it was measured based on how many frames your sword hit objects. So if you're hitting it twice as many frames, it's degrading twice as fast. They ended up patching that, but from what I understand, this PC version's pretty top notch. So. We're gonna check that out.
No, I mean the graphics look really nice from what I've seen, and like I said, the combat looks real. I don't know, it just seems like they've put more depth into the combat than it's not as much like it's not as slow paced. It doesn't seem. It kind of looks like they took a few cues from Bloodborne in that sense, but
they've been talking about like they've took like you said took a few cues from Bloodborne, but also made it. Bloodborne didn't have shields and blocking and stuff like that, and Dark Souls is primarily about that. Like you can do so many different kinds of builds in Dark Souls.
Yeah, that's another thing. Yeah, the different builds looked interesting too.
Yeah,
like
magic.
So there's different ways to approach.
Yeah, so we're going to take a look at that, and then we're going to take a look at Ratchet and Clank. I've been going back through the Ratchet and Clank collection on PS3, just revisiting some of those.
Your
Those
PS3
games are still
working?
Great. Yeah, I got a new one. I got it replaced. Yeah.
Nice.
And I don't know what I'm going to do with the older one. Probably just sell it on eBay as is.
Does the Blu-ray wait?
It's the video out is not working.
Oh.
So it's
so for anything. So okay.
Yeah, it's weird. Sometimes
it's probably a simple fix.
Sometimes
it
doesn't output anything at all.
Yeah.
And sometimes it does, and then I get all of these vertical lines up and down the screen, and I can't read it.
Oh, that's weird.
So it's definitely something wrong with it. But this one's working fine. So I've been playing some of that, and those are still great games. Looking forward to that. But we're here to talk about some games that are already out.
Hell yeah, man.
First up is Quantum Break.
Oh, yeah.
The
long-awaited new IP.
Yeah. The new Remedy joint.
Remedy joint, yeah.
Long-awaited, like every Remedy joint.
Yeah.
This has...
And is it worth the hype? Let's hear from Ryan and Drew.
Yeah, well, first we'll go over exactly what it is. So this is a third-person shooter, like all the other Remedy games, and it has a big emphasis on time powers. So at the beginning of the game, you get access to powers that can manipulate time. You can do like time dodges. You can which makes you go faster and sneak around enemies. Well, not sneak around, but blow past them and shoot them in the back and shit like that.
A time shield where you can block bullets.
Yep.
There's like a time bubble where it freezes the enemy.
Yeah,
and then it blows them up or something. Yeah, I don't know.
So you freeze them, and then you can shoot bullets into it. And they freeze, and then all of a sudden,
all the bullets
smash at once. And
so to sum it up, you guys have total manipulation of time and space. It sounds like
not really.
Not
so
total.
These are the only things that you have access to on a regular basis. You can't totally manipulate time all the time. Like you can't rewind, fast forward, or anything like that.
It's not like Life is Strange.
Those are specific instances where you can do that. So there'll be like a puzzle where you can't get across a certain gap, but then you can rewind time where there was a bridge there before, and then walk across it, and then it'll collapse again in a certain amount of time. So there's some puzzles there that...
There are some... I guess a good portion of the game is environmental traversal puzzles like that.
Yeah, they seem to do a push-pull with shooting, and then these environmental puzzles, which I haven't encountered too many complicated environmental puzzles.
No, they weren't. Like you said, I know exactly the one you're talking about, getting across that bridge.
Yeah, that was like the intro one or whatever. And then, then the other part's the third-person shooting, which I think is pretty good. Automatic cover, you duck behind objects as you walk up to them.
Yep. Very reminiscent of like Tomb Raider.
Yeah. Like the newest Tomb Raider, you just walk up to it and you automatically duck down behind it. And I thought the shooting was pretty good.
It's pretty solid.
Bullets went where I thought they were going to go, which I was a little worried about that with some of the pre-release footage and stuff like that. But it ended up being pretty good. And, in conjunction with the time powers, it makes shooting kind of fun, like balancing between, you hit somebody with the time bubble, then you dash to the side. And when you're done the dash, you kind of slow down for a minute, gives you a chance to shoot at the enemy. And then there's they mix it up a little bit by introducing enemies that are immune to your time powers. And
so then it's down to like just shooting.
It's down to shooting. They're not totally immune. So there's these moments where time just stops in the game, and you're moving freely like it's real time, but everything else is frozen around you. There was this boat that was falling, like this old boat that was falling down all around you, and that was all frozen in place, and you were walking through it. There was some puzzles there, and then you got to a shooting segment where these guys showed up with equipment that allowed them to move freely in the stopped time.
Okay.
So then you're fighting them, and then some regular guys come when time catches up and things like that. It's a really cool visual effect they have going on with the time changing and ripples.
Yeah, for sure.
Back and forth between time, like future, present, and stuff like that. I think the animation's a little weird.
Agreed.
The character models, like the faces and everything, look all right, but I don't know. It's just like the way you move, Jack Joyce, who's the main character, moves.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't seem natural most of the time.
Yeah, it is a little. I don't know if slippery is the right word or
Yeah,
loose.
It's almost like your character's not touching the ground. It's like like floating just a little bit above the ground when he's sliding around everywhere.
When you do that slide move, especially.
No, but
or
I mean,
you're just talking about
I'm just talking
regular
about walking. It feels like he's not actually making contact with the ground, and I feel like, and it's the situation in a lot of games where the resting pose, when person just stands there, is just so unnatural.
Yeah,
like he's just a little hunched over and he's like almost getting ready to run or something like that, and it's just like.
No, I've seen a lot of games that do that.
Yeah, a lot of games do it.
Does he have any idle animations? Did you notice? Or?
I don't think so.
No?
He just stands there, like
he's
ready.
Yeah. Ryan, did you notice that he doesn't even like bend down to pick up his guns? He just like grabs them.
Oh yeah, I didn't notice that, but yeah.
There's like little animations that it seems like they either skipped over or I don't know, kind of took a few shortcuts, and it's not like anything that's gonna like bother the average gamer, but it's little things that I've noticed.
Yeah, and for something like that.
Do you think they did that intentionally, and if so, why?
I've heard some fanboys say, "Well, it's because he can manipulate time, so he doesn't even need to." No, it's like, no, that was a developer mistake.
Well, no, what I was gonna say is maybe during combat it would have completely changed the flow of combat. He was reaching down and picking stuff up. It would take you out of the combat for a minute. That's what I was gonna come around.
Yeah,
to.
no, I can see that too. Well, I guess if you're like in combat and if you run over ammo for guns you already have, then that's
automatically
fine.
Pick it up. Yeah.
Yeah, but if you want to like reach down and get another gun, he should. I don't know. But I guess I can see where you're coming from there too.
I didn't really notice that. I didn't pick up guns in combat. Usually, it was always like after the combat had finished, I'm like, oh, that guy had a cool gun. I want to check out.
Yeah, so like next time you play, like even after combat, just like watch like how he picks up the gun. It just like appears in his hand. I don't know. It's kind of funny. But
yeah, and so other than that, I think the visuals are pretty good. I don't know if I really like all of the effects, like the glow. Everything looks like it's glowing and everything's a little bit blurry, like intentionally. That was definitely the effects that they put on.
Yeah, what do they call that, dude? The that effect they put on the screen.
They have motion blur, a lot of motion blur.
Yeah, there's blur. Yeah, but there's that grain, that like film grain.
Yeah, it's like
style,
film grain, definitely.
Yeah, that they put over the. Which I guess it's supposed to make it look more movie-like or whatever, but
yeah, it's definitely gives it an aesthetic, like a unique look to it.
Yeah.
It wasn't that big of a deal. I got used to it pretty fast, but I've noticed just anecdotally, like textures not coming in correctly. Like a box will just be sitting there with no textures, then all of a sudden they'll pop in. And
I'll keep in mind, everyone, me and Ryan are both talking about the Xbox One version.
Yes, Xbox One. I haven't played the PC. I guess they're having some issues. I'm not going to comment too much on that because I haven't played it yet. But this is all on the Xbox One. And frame rate seems to be pretty stable.
Yeah, I noticed. Pretty smooth.
I haven't noticed any frame rate issues. And probably the only other thing that's annoying me, and this is just nitpicking, is like games where you have a companion, like somebody following you around. This happens a lot in the game. And you come to an obstacle where you can't progress, so you have to solve a puzzle or something, and they're waiting for you. They constantly bug you with dialogue. Like, hey, did you forget about me? Like, hey, you got to get up through the window.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
Hey, Jack, you got to get up through the window. And it's way too frequently. It's like,
all right, dude, I get the point. I got it the first couple times, you know.
And there is some exploration here. Like there's narrative objects that you can pick up.
A lot of narrative objects.
Yeah, there's a lot, actually.
There's a lot of reading to do in that game if you really want to.
Yeah,
I noticed that from the first act.
Yeah, there's tons of these narrative objects you can pick up. There's the only way that you can upgrade your abilities is by picking up these chronon things. I don't think
I haven't gotten
Drew hasn't gotten to that part yet. But that's introduced right at the beginning of the second act. It's like these chronon things that you can only see with your time vision.
Yep.
And
oh yeah, he has time vision too. Okay.
yeah, he has time vision where he can see like guys through walls.
Yeah, so
and
it's
things
basically
like that.
another version of the Batman vision and the
Yeah,
Eagle
yeah.
vision.
I'm getting kind of sick of that in games.
Dude, we're seeing it everywhere.
Yeah,
now.
I think we can find something new. We don't need to have some sort of special vision and everything.
Dude, even Nathan Drake's marking enemies now. I was
Yeah,
actually
yeah,
a little
I
I was a little annoyed with that. I'm not
Yeah.
gonna lie. So,
Yeah.
all right, well, let's keep going.
Tomb Raider vision.
Yeah, Tomb Raider
was
vision,
all
dude,
in
like,
Tomb Raider. So yeah, you find these Chronon things in the environment,
yeah.
and that's the only way that you can upgrade your power. So you don't get any experience like shooting guys or anything like that. You find these things throughout the world, and they're easy to identify. When you use your time vision, they show up, and
Yeah.
it like will have there's like a little radar in the middle of the screen that'll show you where they are.
Yep.
But sometimes because the environments are so small, you'll like go over you'll be like, oh, it's right over here, and then there'll be a wall there, and you're not sure if like, am I supposed to figure out how to get through that wall in this environment, or am I going to loop around and eventually get to it? And sometimes you'll go through a door that'll lock behind you before you realize that, oh, I actually was supposed to figure something out back there. And I wish it was a little bit clearer on where these items were, because like I said, it's the only way that you can upgrade your stuff. So if you miss a lot of them,
Then
you're
you
not
just-
going to be
yeah.
able to upgrade your powers.
You have
And
to
some of
rock
the
it,
powers they're pretty powerful when you upgrade them.
Oh, I believe it. And
Okay.
'cause, like a big thing about the powers is you can't just mash them like once you use them, they're on a cooldown.
Yeah,
or
it's
whatever.
a cooldown. So it's not like a pool of energy.
Yeah, you
that-
can't just keep like spamming energy on
Yeah.
all these dudes and then or whatever time powers.
Yeah, and a lot of them have multiple uses within a cooldown period. So you can throw 2 time bubbles or do 2 dodges, and then you got to wait for it to cool down.
Yep.
And you can upgrade and get more than that. Just to circle it back around to the story. So you play as Jack Joyce, who's played by Tom Ashmore.
Yes.
And
Sean Ashmore. Right?
Sean Ashmore.
Sean
yes.
Ashmore, Iceman from X-Men, I believe.
Yes.
Is that what it is? Yeah.
And
Yes.
so he goes and meets with Paul Serene, who's his like
Best friend, I guess.
best friend, longtime buddy, or something like that. And he's played by Aidan Gillen. Is that his? I believe that's his name.
No. Yep, that's correct.
Littlefinger from
yeah.
Game of Thrones. And when he meets him, it turns out that there's this big time. They've invented this time machine, and his brother, played by Dominic
Monaghan.
Monaghan, something like that.
So I know
All
his
these
actors.
names, all of these names. They're famous people. They've been in a lot of stuff. He was in Lord of the Rings and Lost. He had a big role in Lost. So
Right.
and so it turns out that there's this big plot to create this time machine, and Paul Serene may not be everything he originally said he was. And basically,
So he may have sinister intentions.
yeah, there may be sinister intentions, something like that. And basically, you have to figure out, as Jack Joyce, how to stop him and exactly what he's going for, like what the idea is. There's like this
Yeah. And it's
rumor of an end time, like time is going to end, like
yes,
literally.
I think that's the whole thing. Like the whole point of the game comes down to like time is going to end if Jack doesn't stop Paul and his plot.
Right.
But like I think the unique thing about this narrative is that once it transitions over to the TV show aspect, you pretty much see only like the bad guy's perspective, pretty much, not just Paul. Like a few other key characters that like you can skip the shows and just play the game, and I've heard that like you can still follow the story by skipping the shows, but it gives you a lot of backstory, and it kind of like makes the bad guys a little more human than I guess normal games would. So, and I think the acting is overall pretty well done so far from what I've seen. Like when I watched that first 20-minute show, I wasn't like getting bored or falling asleep.
Yeah.
Like,
So the production values are pretty much on par with like a sci-fi original TV series.
yeah, that
So
sounds
if,
about right.
if you're used to seeing that on like network TV or something like that, that's about what they're going for. Like, there's definitely a distinct look to those kinds of TV shows where they're not quite as high budget as say like a Lost or
Yeah.
something on ABC or NBC or something like that, or HBO for instance. But they have their own little quirkiness that plays well into the whole like feeling of this game. Even the gameplay part of it feels kind of like that.
Yeah. No, I agree.
With the way that the plot's kind of cliche. It isn't hugely original.
Yeah, I wouldn't call this completely original.
And then there's always like, that villain that's like sometimes you don't know if he's good, sometimes you don't know if he's bad. And the whole idea is like, Paul apparently knows what this end time is.
Yeah.
Like he knows what's going to happen and he's trying to stop it, but Jack is trying to stop him because it seems like he has negative intentions.
Yeah, well,
so
at the very beginning, Paul gets like trapped in his own time machine. Like there's this whole thing that happens. I'm not going to go into any more spoilers besides that. But like things happen with Paul at the beginning that turn him into like who he becomes.
Yeah.
But I'd say at the point Ryan and I are at, there's a lot of unanswered questions.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of unanswered questions. There's a lot of like people inside Paul's organization that are kind of like inside agents kind of trying to help Jack, and a lot of that's dealt with in the show. There's quite a lot of that actually, and yeah, I mean, I wish the whole thing was a little bit tighter of a package because it's a little bit rough around the edges. I think.
Yeah.
I think, like, I guess it's kind of better than the sum of its holes. Like, each individual part probably isn't that great, but when you put it together, like, the show complements the game.
Yeah.
The time powers complement the combat. Like, if the time powers weren't there, the combat would be boring as shit.
Exactly. That's actually what you're saying is what I was... Like, this show by itself probably wouldn't last on TV. It's not like a show that would probably stand on its own. It kind of needs this game to complement it. And I don't know if the game necessarily needs the show, but it definitely helps with the backstory and the originality they were going for.
Mm-hmm.
And, like Ryan said, the gunplay on its own, probably not that spectacular, but mixed in with the time powers, it makes you feel kind of like a superhero in a way. That's pretty much what Jack turns into.
Yeah, because he gets the time powers by when he experiences this time machine malfunction with Paul at the beginning of it.
Yeah, so him and Paul both get affected by this at the beginning. So, I mean, they do definitely give you like an origin of how it starts with both of them. And
so then there's like some choice at the end of each video game act. You play, you lose control of Jack, and you take control of Paul Serene.
Which is very weird, isn't it? I think that's kind of cool.
Yeah, it is kind of cool. This is what I'm
wish...
talking about. There are like cool things in this game. I just wish like
I kind of wish they let you play
as
Paul,
better.
though, because I bet you Paul has some awesome time powers and stuff. But all you do is like walk down with Paul, and then you make a choice.
Yeah, so
go ahead. Yeah.
Without getting into too many spoilers, the choices are in a lot of ways kind of black and white. The first one certainly is.
Yeah.
The second one is a little bit more gray, and that actually affects the TV show as well. So the TV show will actually change depending on some of the objects you pick up in the world will actually change the TV show, but more dramatically, these choices will change the way the TV show plays out and what characters you'll see and who will interact with who. And I wish you had a little bit more of an idea of how big of an overall impact they had on the entire game, but they do have some sort of impact, and they're all, so far, the ones that I've seen are pretty legit choices. It's like, it tells you exactly what'll happen. Well, basically what'll happen.
Well, they show you kind of like how the outcome would be if you make that choice.
Exactly. So without getting into too much, one choice was Paul could deal with the situation himself or let one of his basically henchmen deal with it.
Yeah.
And the TV show played out quite a bit differently based on my choice. Like I noticed the scene
that
was different, and I was like, oh, that would have been totally different if
you chose the other.
If I had chose the other option.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
So
and
I
we'll
guess,
see how much it plays out in the big picture.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it gives you a reason to play it more than once to see everything the game has to offer. But yeah. And one other thing, kind of back to the gameplay just real quick. I just want to say that the environmental destruction, very spot on. I do enjoy that. Like when you're in the middle of shootouts, like, you know, you got things flying all over the place, walls breaking.
Yeah.
Like, it seems like everything's pretty much destructible.
Very Matrixy.
Right.
Yeah.
Like that, the hallway scene in the Matrix. Yeah.
So I do enjoy that. Go ahead.
From what I've been told, guys, it's that while when Quantum Break hits its marks, it does it in a spectacular fashion. Like it aims for its own ambition, even though it can be rather inconsistent throughout the game. Some of the things I've read, and I've read a few reviews, what they seem to praise is the gameplay, the story, and the action sequences. Do you think that's an accurate description? Or do you think is that accurate based on both of your opinions?
Yeah, I mean the gameplay has its issues, but it's solid.
Yeah, it's definitely solid.
There's no problems with the gameplay. One thing that did kind of bug me was, so when you're in cover and you aim with your gun to shoot out of cover, even if you're not aiming over the cover, you still stand up.
I heard other people. Yeah.
And I'll try to explain it. So like, if you have cover and you're shooting guys straight ahead of you, if somebody comes around and flanks you from the side, and you try to shoot them, Jack will stand up, even though he doesn't have to in order to shoot them. Like in other cover shooters, you'll just turn to the side, shoot them. You know, Lara Croft or Drake will still hide behind the cover or shoot him to the side, and then if you're pointing forward, that's when he'll pop out of cover.
They kind of, it seems to be a design decision to not they don't want you to like sit behind cover and shoot.
Yeah, you're supposed to.
They want you to keep moving.
Use cover for a breather.
Yeah.
While your time powers recharge for a second.
While they recharge.
And then use your time powers. It's just kind of
you have to
annoying,
find a balance,
especially at the beginning, where your time powers they're okay, but they're not great.
Yeah.
So you're waiting for things.
Actually, that was my next question, Ryan. I was going to say, let's talk about the time powers and how well Remedy did to establish them. Did they achieve their goal, or do you think that they kind of missed their mark with it?
No, the time powers are good.
Yeah, no, I think they definitely like.
So there's no complaints about them
so far.
The only complaint would be that you get them real quick.
Yeah, I mean,
you get them all pretty much within the first act.
Pretty much, okay, yeah, I figured.
And you know that, but you upgrade them. So some of the upgrades change them substantially.
Okay.
Yeah, so I mean, you get your like base powers within the first act, but like Ryan says, you obviously get stronger as the game goes on.
Yeah.
So.
All right.
And yeah, I think the story's pretty good for what it is. It's nothing super original, but what really pulls it together is the acting. All the characters deliver great performances,
for sure.
Great voice acting, and more to that, their writing is good. Doesn't sound corny. Doesn't sound silly or forced or anything like that. So
how well developed are the characters?
They're okay.
Yeah.
The TV show is what really
fleshes
the minor characters out. I wish Jack had been more in the TV show, and we got a little bit more of his backstory.
Is he in it?
He's in it.
He does
a little
show?
bit.
Okay.
Yeah,
I was wondering
if
they purposely you only see Jack in graphics and you don't see him.
No,
okay.
he's in the show, and so is Paul.
Yeah.
So
I knew Paul was in there.
They're both in the show. Not as much as the minor characters.
Yeah.
And some of the minor characters you see in the TV show, some of them you only see in the game,
like
and,
that computer
and vice
geek.
versa.
That computer
the computer geek
yeah.
seems to only be in the show and not in the game. But maybe you meet him partway through the game or something like that.
Yeah, that's the thing. Neither of us have actually finished it yet. So.
Yeah, I haven't finished it, but the first 2 acts I've gotten through, and I've definitely got an idea of where the game's going. I don't expect there to be a huge third act twist or anything like that, where all of a sudden it's an RTS or something like that.
I imagine the enemies are going to get it more annoying, more harder as it goes. They'll probably throw bigger waves at you. You know, to back up what good old Jeff Gerstmann said, I mean, there's nothing really that special about the enemies. They really are just corporate goons, really, for this Monarch organization that Jack seems to... Yeah, no, not Jack. The other dude. Paul. Paul has this big army full of those Monarch workers, like, ready to kick your ass.
Yeah, but what if he's pulling them from the past?
He might be.
Like, maybe they just keep dying over and over again. They're the same guy. And then he just keeps pulling them back from the past, putting them back out there.
Yep.
There's a twist.
Yeah, but then he would have had to have a much greater manipulation of time than, say, Jack would, though, if that were true.
He does, yeah.
Oh, okay, he does.
Yeah,
all right.
He
seems
to be seemingly just as, if not more powerful than Jack in terms of manipulating time.
Think of Paul as like the Darth Vader. He has like he has more training or whatever. He's probably overall more powerful. He's been in this time stuff longer than Jack has.
And Luke.
Okay.
And yeah,
Jack is
more
Luke,
the Luke.
And trying to learn it and eventually probably be more powerful than Paul in the long run.
Yeah. So hopefully it leads to a legit showdown between them because so far they seem to be building it up pretty good.
Yep.
So and
all right.
I don't know if we already said it, but the in-game counterparts to the real-life faces, they're pretty good. I mean...
Yeah, I thought the facial animation and everything was pretty spot on.
I mean, you notice, like... I don't know if it's this generation or what. Some hair just looks weird in a lot of these newer games. Yeah, dude. Like, I even noticed it in, like, Lara Croft's hair for the Xbox One version.
Oh, really?
I don't know. It's just... Like, I think
Tress effects? Not enough tress effects?
Yeah. No, it's like... Jack's hair, it just looked like grainy or something. Maybe it was because of that grain effect or whatever. And my uncle has a big old TV I was playing on that could have, so it was really stretched out.
I'm glad to see that they didn't go sweat in this game.
Sweat?
Yeah, that seemed to be a thing, especially at the end of last generation. Was everybody was
sweaty.
Slick with sweat.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but it doesn't seem to be the thing. I guess this generation it's hair.
Yeah. You know,
and so it's like...
It's a mature-rated game. Not a lot of blood or anything like that. I don't know.
No, it's mostly swearing, I think.
Yeah.
There's a lot of language in it.
And maybe, I'm sure they could explain that with the whole time stuff, too. And did you notice, dude, like when you kill the last enemy in the room, they show you like a bullet cam style?
Yeah, like a slow motion kind of
It's kind of like that Hitman Max Payne thing they do. I don't know.
Yeah, that was one thing that I was kind of disappointed with is that here's the game that they finally justified slow down motion and you don't have the Max Payne jump.
Yeah.
The slow motion jump to the side shoot.
Dude, I wish
Well, maybe they were trying to not make it so redundant. I mean, so basically what you guys are also saying is that the violence is more cartoonish, more Matrix-like, which also didn't have a lot of blood than more
I wouldn't
graphic
say cartoonish.
Fallout.
Yeah, I wouldn't call it cartoonish, but just subdued. There isn't blood.
Okay.
There's not a whole lot of blood anyway.
There might be more in the TV show.
An overtly violent game or anything like that.
Yeah, like if you're not gonna shoot the guy in the head and see a part of his head missing or anything like that,
or like dismember him or anything like that. But yeah, I think probably the M rating got earned with the language.
Yeah, the language. Yeah,
there is quite a bit of swearing here and there. Yeah, so I'm not totally down on the game. It's all right. I think that sums it up pretty good.
Yeah,
it's an all right game.
It's definitely not blowing me away, but at the same time, I do appreciate a developer like Remedy, even though it takes them forever to do it.
I just wish they
putting
made
out new
games
IPs.
faster.
I know. If they could put out games quicker, get some more people in there, because they're obviously talented. Like, there's no doubt.
And I just want to see Sam Lake as much as possible.
Dude, it was in I think the first act where I turned on a TV.
Yeah,
and Sam Lake.
There is a fake TV show within the within the game.
Yeah. I think there's some Alan Wake references in there too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then there was a commercial for the game that had both. They didn't actually say Max Payne and Alan Wake, but it was Max Payne and Alan Wake sitting on a couch playing Quantum Break.
That's awesome.
Well, actually, guys, I was told that it may be set that Quantum Break may be set in the same universe as Alan Wake, and that some consider it to be a spiritual successor to the game. Which I don't know if you see any comparables between the two.
No,
But
I don't think so. I think it's. I mean, you do one
it's
thing
got
that's
that
cool.
kind of weird sci-fi-ness to it, I suppose. But
Yeah, but Alan Wake was more of a horror.
yeah,
kind of.
I personally still have to play Alan Wake, which I still do plan on playing.
Yeah, it wasn't as much of a shooter as this is.
No,
or anything
for sure.
like that.
I'd say this
like
is close.
Max Payne.
This is probably closer to Max Payne in
Yeah.
that regard.
Yeah. Yeah, it was cool when with the Xbox One version, and I think with the PC version too, maybe you got Alan Wake
Yeah.
and
The
the
American,
expansion
yeah.
American Nightmare backwards compatible on Xbox One, so that was pretty cool.
See, that's the biggest or one of the best things Xbox has got going. Being
Yeah.
able to offer.
Those backwards
Yeah.
compatible games. Yeah, they're really pumping them out too. They're
No, that's good.
there's a new one coming out every week or two, and they're pretty good games. Like Dead Space was just added not too long ago,
nice,
which is
nice.
pretty cool. And I'm just waiting for Red Dead.
We might get a remaster before that happens. Who knows?
Yeah,
man?
I'll
I've heard
take
rumors.
that too.
I've definitely heard rumors.
BioShock Remaster definitely coming out.
That is definitely
Yep.
coming. Yeah, all three, I guess.
Yep.
So
Hopefully that comes to PC because that PC version of BioShock's kind of rough. The first one.
yeah,
I'd
hopefully
like to
they
see.
actually make some. Yeah, maybe improve. I don't know. We'll see what
Yeah,
they
they
do
could
with
improve the visuals. That's for sure.
So, guys, well, it sounds to me like the game is worth playing, but not necessarily worth buying.
it. No, I think if you're an Xbox One owner and you enjoy action adventures, you should give this a try.
Yeah, you should give it a try. If not, if you're like you have other options, maybe wait for a sale
Yeah.
because it's. I mean, it's
That's
not
what
a
I'm
super long
saying.
game.
Or you could rent it and maybe beat it within. Like,
Yeah, I'm hearing between 7 and 10
Yeah,
hours
Same here.
to complete the game.
And that includes the TV segments, I think. I could
Yeah,
be
I think
wrong.
so.
But
And they're full TV episodes. They're 22, 25 minutes long.
yeah.
So
So-
I
so a
actually
minute
actually like
series.
that because that's how I'm playing games now
Okay.
mostly. Like I'll play a game for a little while and then I'll take a break.
Yeah.
And it was nice to have
Yeah.
an in-game break basically
dude,
because it's like
I
it's
sat
like,
there and ate a snack during
yeah,
the TV
you go
show.
make a sandwich, grab a beer or something, and watch a TV show, and then 20 minutes later you're back into the game.
No, Sai, honestly, I think this is the kind of game you would actually really be into because of the story and the characters and the actors.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
Okay.
It's
I
a
feel
good-
like this is
it's
a Sai Cuddy kind of gem right here.
good combo between games and TV. That's for sure.
Well, when I go visit my parents' home, I'll convince my brother, who has an Xbox One, to purchase it so I can try it out.
Well, you guys don't even have to purchase it. Like we were just saying. You guys could just rent it, but
Yeah, you could try
That's
renting
true.
it or something. So,
All right.
how's baseball, Si?
Yes, this is a conversation that Ryan and Drew have been dying to have with me.
Yeah, I'll just let it roll, and I'll see you guys later.
yeah.
All right. I'll tell you what, everybody. We're gonna take a quick break, but once we come back, we will talk about MLB The Show.
And we're back.
All right, everybody.
7th inning
Well-
stretch.
Cuddy stretch.
Yeah.
I like that, Ryan. Excellent description. All right, everybody. Well, as some of you may have heard, the MLB baseball season has once again come to full fruition, and with that, another edition of MLB The Show has been released. I, as many of you may have known, am an avid baseball fan, and of course, I picked this up the first day it was released. And I just want to say that so far, I'm actually impressed with the game, and I think they improved on a lot of dynamics of it while keeping some of the same things from last year's copy.
Well, they always do, man. But keep going.
Thank you, Drew. So for you, so since I'm really the only one who's played it so far, guys, I think what would help is you guys ask some questions about it. Ryan, I know we discussed the game a little bit, so what would you like to know about it?
So this is the PlayStation exclusive, right? It's
Yes, it is.
Is that why you got a PlayStation 4?
That is the biggest reason I got a PlayStation 4. That and The Last of Us came out, and I'm glad I did.
Yeah,
For
because
some of because the other
Baseball,
baseball games
yeah.
on Xbox stink. So
Well, there really aren't too many.
I don't think there is any at this point.
Isn't there like an RBI baseball or something like that?
yeah, there
Something like
is,
that.
but
I don't know.
that's an MLB The Show ripoff, if anything.
Oh, a ripoff. Okay.
And I think Microsoft has the rights to High Heat or something like that that used to be around.
Not a baseball game.
Yeah.
That hasn't been around for a while.
No, I know,
think.
but
Yeah.
I guess they have the rights. They just aren't doing anything with
Let's
it.
bring back Ken Griffey Jr.
Yeah, right. Classic.
For real.
So what's the biggest improvement that you think they've made with this version?
I'm going to go with the online play, Ryan. This year there are actually 5 different modes that you can play off of. One of them from last year is basically and how the online play works, Ryan, is that with various baseball card packs, you build up a squad of players that are all Major League Baseball players, and that you focus on putting them a team. You have an everyday lineup. You have a bench. You have 5 starting pitchers and relief pitchers, and you combine all of those from different teams and even free agents. Along with that, and this is something they expanded upon.
So it's like
is
fantasy baseball.
in a sense, yes. However, there's one thing I also like to add. Last year, if you collected or if you chose to purchase, if you were lucky enough to get them out of a pack, there were legendary players that you could get. Like with the Red Sox, if you got the entire roster of the team, you got to get Ted Williams. With the Yankees, it was Yogi Berra. This time, they have something called this time they have players that are basically flashback players, which are a combination of famous players from the past, All-Stars, Hall of Famers, and so forth. And there are also popular players who are either in the twilight of their careers or played when they were rookies. So their ratings are not quite as good as the elites, but generally they're pretty good players. That's one thing they expanded on that I like, because there are more popular players from behind the day that you can expand on their team. The other mode you get to do is called Battle Royale, which I think is an absolute blast and is actually, Drew, much more like fantasy baseball. You get to draft. How it goes is when you play in Battle Royale, you get to draft your own team of 25 players that are randomly selected. You get to pick a choice of either the diamond players, which are the cream of the crop, a certain amount of gold players, silver players, bronze, and then low-ranking players. Your goal is to try to make the best team possible. And with this mode, it's 3 innings and it's a 2-game elimination. So you play the best of 3 innings until your team wins. And if you win, you move on, and eventually you get to rack up prizes, which you collect if you lose.
Now, this is all online?
This is all online.
Okay.
Drew.
Are you
So
are you actually playing these games like an actual game of baseball, or this isn't just like a simulated game that you get cards at the end? Okay.
This is not a simulated game. This is a game where you actually play the players. How you get them is that you get baseball cards. That's how it gets. So
That's the reward. You get baseball cards.
No, actually, no.
Oh.
That's not just the reward. When you get a baseball card, that player gets to play on your team.
Yeah, that's what.
Or you get to choose to. It's how Battle Royale works is when you choose the players, you don't get to keep them unless you win them in rewards. But basically, it's a rating system. So let's say I create a team and I end up losing. I get a pack of players. Like I get like a baseball card pack you see in stores. I open them up and I can add those to my squad. And if I choose, and then I can add them to my starting lineup, which is the team of 25 players that you play online against your friends or against the computer or against other players. So either when you win or lose, you're still a winner in a sense. But you want to keep winning those games because the more you win, the higher amount of players you get, and eventually you can get the all-stars that you can add to your squad and do better in online mode. This is actually one of my favorite modes in the game. The other mode is that based on the team you create in the online mode, you get chosen to a random part of the states, and it's kind of like a game of Risk. You play against different teams, and that you try to compete for fan territory. So basically, you're in America, and you're trying to win as much of the demographic as you can. So basically, you try to capture other teams, real-life major league teams, fan territory, so you can get more fans and you get more rewards. I haven't quite played as much on that yet because I want to improve my amount of players, but it is also a fun mode. And one of the biggest additions, which has been lacking and I've been criticizing for some time, is now you can play games against your actual friends. So your team that you create, you can play against your own friends that are online.
So
which
you couldn't
welcome
do
to
that
2001.
Exactly.
Was there any multiplayer before this version of the game?
There was, but your only options were random players chosen
like
who
random
play
online matches.
or you can play the CPU, and you still get the same amount of points.
Sounds like this game needs some competition.
I would say so, Ryan. But the thing with this game is that they're playing, or I thought the developers made the game as if they actually had competition because they did want to do ways that improve themselves.
Yeah,
and they still have the same categories. I mean, one thing that you guys may not know is that for both pitching and hitting, you have a gameplay option called dynamic, meaning that depending on how well you play, your difficulty in that game increases. You start off as a rookie, but if they see that that it's far too easy for you because you keep hitting home runs or keep getting hits, they increase your hitting difficulty to they gradually go up to veteran, all-star, etc. And the same thing with pitching as well. This is in mostly the franchise modes, Road to the Show, which is when you create your own player and you go up from the minor leagues into the major leagues and try to be an all-star.
Nice.
Cool. So, yeah, I mean, in a vacuum, adding those features in one release is pretty good, like all those multiplayer modes.
Right.
That's pretty good.
And they improved, right, and Dynamic was last year, but I think they improved on this a lot. They did it more gradually than in previous years. Again, I understand that not everybody is a baseball fan, but, I mean, this baseball game is the most legitimate one out there. I'm not going to say the only one because there are a few others. I mean, the graphics are top-notch.
Yeah, I was about to ask you how the presentation is.
The presentation is excellent. I mean, the only thing... Announcing is, it can get annoying, but there's only so much they can record on. And they do try to add a few things here or there. They have updates on the players, but like it is with all sports games, you're going to get the same kind of announcing that it's always been.
Was John Madden in it?
Okay, Ryan, I see that you're not a sports fan. Let's move on.
Wow.
Oh, no.
Dude, if he would.
No, okay, no,
he
Ryan.
At least knows who John Madden is.
Yeah, I know.
That's a key player.
Is he commentating?
No, Ryan. The people who commentate are
Wait, what? They use fake announcers?
No, they don't. All these announcers are pretty well known people on TV. In fact, one of them is actually a former baseball player.
Nice.
Cool.
Yeah, so they have guys like Steve Lyons, who was pretty well known and is actually on Nesson, who as a commentator for the Red Sox. Actually, he's one of the 3 announcers in that game.
And now we see why more and more reasons why Cy loves this game.
Yeah.
No, actually, I'm not a fan of Steve Lyons, Drew.
So the graphics are top notch.
Are the player representation, like their faces and everything like that, is that pretty accurate? I mean, do they have real people in them?
They do.
Okay.
Actually, Ryan, I think some people can make the argument they have way too many players because not just with the Red Sox, like let's take the Red Sox for example. They have their 25-man roster and they have their minor league affiliates as well. So, and you can even see this in the card system that you can collect. You're going to get all their major league players and the minor league players. Some are known, some of them are created because there's let's just say when it comes to licensing players, you could really only do specific people who have signed major league contracts. Like some of the minor league players are just completely computer generated, but even if they're in those that aren't computer generated are those who have actually spent time playing for the Red Sox. So,
yeah, well, that's what I was getting at. So are those faces? Do they look like the actual players?
They do.
Okay.
All of them are all of those players, and they've. This is the same thing as last year. They've done that to a top. They've done that to a pinpoint almost. And again, the graphics have once again taken a step forward as they have this year.
That's cool. What about so you collect these cards and everything like that in the multiplayer modes? Is there any sort of like microtransactions where you can like get the cards by just paying some money?
Yes, you can, Ryan. It works as a bid system, and they do this in MLB. I mean, they do this in the NBA, the show, and Madden as well. You can actually bid and buy players on there, but the thing is, an online player has to sell the card to you.
Oh, okay.
And there are certain circumstances where you cannot sell a card in this game, such as if you acquired it through one of the specific contests that you have, another thing I forgot to mention is that this year online they have something known as captain's mode that affects both online and offline play. It's when you choose a specific well-known major league player, and the factor is you have to have, like, let's say I chose David Ortiz, who's one of the captains. I have to have a player on there who's affiliated with Ortiz who can hit for power and can't field that well. So when I have that, I get more points and I go up in levels based on that. So I can go all the way up. I can level out one captain and then move my way over to the next. And once you do that, you have the option of acquiring well-known players or specialty baseball packs where you get baseball cards. And it's not just the players you get packs for. You also get add-ons that you can add into, let's say, sponsorships for your franchise, which gets you money. So in the offseason, you can sign players, coaches, etc. You get special bats that you can add to your road to the show, which is your create a player who moves up in the major leagues. You know, like everywhere from special bats, gloves. There's even an app that says golden jockstrap as like a lucky rabbit's foot, a specialty item.
Yeah,
a
talk
charm.
about a rabbit's foot. Yeah, so you said that it's strictly limited to auctions, so you can't go out and buy cards from the developer directly.
You can buy packs of cards, and you can even get money to buy what are known as stubs, which is the currency they use in that game. Yep. And you even accumulate currency playing in franchise mode, offline mode, franchise mode, online play, things such as that.
Okay, so specifically, you can buy these cards. You don't have to earn them.
Yes.
We're talking real world money here.
Yeah, real world money. Like I pay $5 and I get a pack of cards as opposed to working for that pack of cards.
It doesn't quite work.
Well, because you said yes like twice already, so that's why we're confused.
Let me explain on that. When you buy money, you can purchase stubs, which is the currency, by paying actual money to do that, or you can earn that currency by playing. Right. Sometimes putting a little bit on there does get you the ability to buy more packs, or you can buy a specialty player, but that's much more expensive and you're going to be eating up a lot more of your money. You can also get cards based on, if you log on daily, you get a card per day, and that adds up to a baseball card pack if you turn it on a certain amount of days.
So how many stubs would you need for a pack of cards?
Depending on the specialty offers, an average pack is about 1,000 stubs, which is about, I'd say about $1, give or roughly. Maybe a little less than that.
So you can pay $1 and get a pack of cards, basically?
Yes.
Do you think that has any sort of balancing issues where people can just pay for basically everything instead of earning it?
Last year, that was the issue. This year, however, they've expanded the amount of players, and it's And now, because of the amount of players, and because not all the legendary players are in the 90s, which are the highest you can get, it's going to be increasingly difficult for people to cheat at the games that way. And even if they did have a team of all-stars, it's entirely possible that you could still lose, because the online play, the difficulty is all-star play. So if you get all these star players and you're not well adept at the game, you're not going to win. And I was able to build up a pretty good team, and I didn't win all the time.
So you still have to have skill at the game.
Yes.
Okay. And is that part of the game, like batting, fielding, pitching? Is all of that well represented?
It's very well represented, Ryan. The gameplay is very simple to learn. The batting dynamics you can change to attribute to what you feel is best, whether that's buttons or the shock sticks. Pitching, same thing. It's basically it can be the same thing as last year, which I found very comfortable. And there's a few other modifications you can make as well. Fielding, same thing. You can make the modifications as you see fit. You can even have You can even have player assist if you want to use that as a crutch.
Okay. Would you say this is the best one of these games so far? The best one of the MLB The Shows?
Well, I think it ranks up with the first, and I think it's an improvement over last year, Ryan. Yes, I appreciate the online play. I mean, the franchise mode, they added a few developments, but a lot of it was very similar to last year. Road to the Show, somewhat the same thing. They upped the difficulty with it a little bit. They did add a few cinematic sequences, but the online play, just getting it for that alone is, I think, worth the price of admission for any baseball fan.
Do they do any like DLC with any of these, like season pass or I don't know what they would come out with?
No, there's no real DLC. There is a time where you can get specialty pack of cards, like the best players from the month of May who performed well in real life. There are times when the stub amount for getting players and packs are discounted. Like you can purchase this many amount of stubs for that used to be twice as much for half the price.
So the game follows like real world stats and everything.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, that's cool.
I mean, they set up the live rosters on a weekly basis, and they give a pretty accurate representation of what their skill set is. So they follow the MLB, which is the only game that has the official. I think the only game that has the official license. I might be wrong, to a pinpoint.
Okay, that's cool. All right, so if you're a baseball fan, go pick up MLB The Show.
Yep. Cuddy gives it a glowing review.
Yeah.
I do indeed. And for all you other baseball fans out there, go Red Sox.
Woo!
We're pretty hated, actually, around the world. But
yeah,
unless you're no, actually, I think the Yankees still have the title for most hated.
Yeah, dude, but we're up there with the Yankees now.
Yeah.
Same with the Patriots, man.
Haters gonna hate.
When you're near Boston, it's the greatest sports city in the world, dude. Of course, people are going to be jealous.
Only
All
you,
right.
Cuddy.
Well, that's gonna wrap it up for this week's Mega Gamecast. Thanks, Drew.
Yeah, anytime, brother.
Thanks, Cy.
My pleasure, Ryan. My pleasure.
If you want to get at us on Facebook or the YouTube channel, you can drop us a line. You can get me at RyanShepard_ on Twitter.
At LADrew87.
At Real Cy Cuddy.
All right. That's going to do it.
Later.
See ya.
Have a good one.